Hey viewers, welcome back to my channel, Conversations with Steph. So, on today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit briefly about the definition of conversations, right? And so, according to the dictionary.com, or yes, I looked it up. The definition for conversation is as follows, and I have it written here. Informal interchange of thoughts, information, etc. by spoken words or communication between persons. And so, though this is the definition, why is it so hard for so many of us to have this informal exchange of information, right? Or thoughts or opinion, whatever it might be. And I've come up with 5 steps that I think would help with uplifting your conversations, with helping you maybe get results out of your conversations, right? And so here they are. First thing I've realized is when it comes to a conversation, we want to be intentional. So what does that mean? Knowing what you want to say. Step 1, knowing what you want to say. Step 2 would be, what are your feelings about what you want to say? Oftentimes when we're communicating, we might neglect the feeling portion of things and we just kind of say a bunch of words, or we might just lead with, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, where it may not necessarily be a completely processed thought. And so I think step 1 and step 2 is really great. Now, once you have figured out, okay, I want to say X and my feelings about X are, now let's combine them, right? You want to combine those feelings, and let's say you practice saying it out loud. Or you practice writing it down on paper. And if you're writing it down, read it back to yourself. Read it back to yourself and then ask yourself, is what I have communicated here on this paper or what I've said out loud or recorded myself saying, is what I've said an accurate representation of both step 1 and step 2? Is it an accurate representation of what I'm feeling and what I want to communicate? Have that been brought across in what I'm saying here? And if it hasn't, you might want to slow down. You might want to revisit it, maybe find different words in order to kind of get your point across. We want to be able to have that, right? But it's not lost on me that I'm sure there are so many nuanced things that are involved in between these steps. But I think as a quick go-to, certainly I think these 5 steps will begin to help you have better conversations. You know, the intentionality, knowing what you want to say, tying your emotions into that aspect, practicing saying it both together to make sure that it is a proper reflection. I hear people say all the time, oh my goodness, it came out wrong. Or people say, oh my gosh, you know, I was thinking about it this way, but then when I opened my mouth, the complete opposite came out. So we'll talk next episode about what trips us up when we're trying to communicate, especially live communication. What is it that causes us to blank out? It could be anxiety, we could be nervous. We may completely forget what we're saying altogether. So how do we keep that information, the fact that, oh, I want to say this, I want to say that, and how do we do that? So we'll talk more next episode about some of those things and things we can do to help us not feel so nervous, or kind of making sure that we feel empowered to kind of say, you know what, I have something I want to say. I really want it to come across that way. And so with that being said, I think just for today, I think it's enough just to kind of leave you with that wrap up of steps 1 through 5. You know, 1, knowing what you want to say. 2, what are your feelings about what you want to say. 3, practice in writing it down, repeating it out loud. And then step 4, you want to get to that place of reading it back to yourself. And then lastly, asking the question, right? I think that's the golden question here. Is what I'm saying, or is what I've written, right, an accurate representation of what I'm feeling and thinking to say? Is it an accurate representation of steps 1 and 2? And if it is, then go ahead and, you know, have that conversation and go ahead and communicate that. But it's totally okay to take our time to practice communicating, to prepare for communication, especially when we talk about important conversations in our lives, right? With spouses, with friends, with loved ones, etc., family, maybe someone you're interested in dating. You want to get your intentions out there and you want to make sure you're dead on. So thank you for joining me on today's episode. I hope this was a helpful tip for you, you know, these 5 easy steps. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Hope you enjoy your day, and I'll see you next time.